Whew, man, that is last time we did a 10 belt salute on our show was for Brody Lee, and I know AEW did a great job with one of their own with their memories, but it's just very, we'll talk just a quick couple words before we go into a Dynamite Download 199, but it's a big shock, everything aside, but you think of wrestling as a fan, like Hulk Hogan, there was no one like him. I mean, I firmly believe every wrestler has a little bit of his persona in him because of the impact that he had on the business. And I firmly believe wrestling wouldn't be where it is today without him and everything he's done in and out. I did follow a little bit of the red and yellow as a kid, but what I started my big, huge dive into WCW and the NWO world and then the Attitude Era. But it's just so many great things he did for the sport and what we love, and it reflects, and it's a trickle down. It's really kind of surprising. He was on my bucket list to meet because of that reason. I never got to meet him, but my wife did at a Ford event. And just seeing some of the videos and stuff surfacing of just like interacting with kids, and he just recently got baptized, and so like a lot of stuff seemed like going in the right direction for him in certain ways. His own redemption story, and so it's pretty sad. How do you feel about Hogan's impact on your wrestling life?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. And let me just preface this. I would like to encourage everybody to kind of follow Dustin Rhodes' lead. Dustin has a lot of reasons to not be a Hulk Hogan fan. And he went to Twitter today and he, made it clear. And so other social medias that, he's praying for forgiveness and, to find it in his heart, and for me, you've got to sort the baby in the bathwater, kind of to butcher a metaphor. It's kind of the same way. It's similar to, not the same, but it's similar to how I reflect on Chris Benoit. You can't be someone like Hulk Hogan and not be polarizing and not have your detractors. The first thing I'm going to say is, if you celebrate someone's death, you might want to take a look at yourself, especially, and ask yourself why you would be public about that, because that's something, there's people that I have disliked, but I would not go. There's something wrong with celebrating someone's, death, passing. Having said that, you also have to acknowledge the impact that Hulk Hogan had on wrestling. He was professional wrestling in the 80s. One of my favorite matches of all time. I mean, he was the man. I grew up, I watched the Hulk Rockin' Wrestling thing, the early WrestleManias, and my favorite match, though, is when he actually took the L and lost to the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. That's what hooked me. And then I was a big wrestling fan for a few years there, stepped back, got back into it when OMG, Hulk Hogan was the third man and joined the NWO. I mean, that was what a way to reinvigorate your career that way. I also, and I love watching Sheiky on Twitter before his passing, always going, oh, yeah, you're worse than the Hulk Hogan, the jabroni of the earth. I put you in the camel clutch. So, Hulk Hogan was not without his controversies, but as the wrestler, the icon himself, I will miss it. It is shocking. But I know he's up there taking an elbow drop from the Macho Man, and he's up. And of course, I'm sure the Sheik's got him in the camel clutch and making him humble. But you got to focus. And I would hope when I pass, with all my flaws and all the mistakes I've made in my life, I would hope people would remember the good things about me. And I'm not comparing myself to Hulk Hogan, but like at least, just in my life, the people that knew me, because he, despite dropping N-bombs and this and that, which really compared to what a lot of people do every day, I don't know, maybe the guy, whatever, whether you disagree with his politics, whatever, he was wrestling. He kicked off. He was the WWF. He was the main guy, and he's what made professional wrestling. He's what catalyst. Vince McMahon was behind the scenes, but Hulk Hogan was the face of wrestling for so long. And he is what people think about, to the point where, like to your point earlier, there's so many people that, I'm going to say mimic, but follow that mentality. Even the Outrunners, there's a lot of people, there are variations of that Hulkster persona. And I think it's a mistake to be dismissive of that. And yeah, it wasn't perfect, but if you want to recognize the legacy, I think that's where we need to.
Yeah, there will, as Crayfish is saying on Instagram, there will never be another Hulk Hogan. And that's been, you knew that early in the early days. I mean, he made wrestling larger than life, and he made it for what it is. He made it where it could sell out stadiums, sell out the Silverdome in Detroit, where we're from, and these made WrestleMania make it so meaningful. Everything from the entrances to ripping the shirt, his gimmicks and stuff like that. Everyone, his advertising, take your vitamins and things like that. Like, so he made it so mainstream and larger than life. And it's just it was a great, unbelievable career, and we're lucky to be able to have experienced that and have been introduced to wrestling because of him. And larger than life is just the key word to me. And it's one of those, like, if you talk to someone who's never watched wrestling, you'd be like, name a wrestler, name one wrestler, they would say Hulk Hogan. I would say 99 times out of 100, if someone's like barely or ever never really watched wrestling, if they want to name a wrestler, like, because he is wrestling, and regardless of anything you see, but he has to be, in my opinion, on everybody's Mount Rushmore for the impact of the sport, regardless of anything. And so it was.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to tell you something about Dynamite Download, man. Let me tell you where the power really lies, the power of positivity. When those 24-inch pythons of positivity come out to you, they don't care about what you may have said. You may have dropped an N-bomb or had a porno, or maybe you did a little bit of roids back in the early days when it wasn't so bad. But I'm going to tell you something, brother. The Dynamite Download, they're running wild. And those Dynamite Maniacs and those SPD Maniacs are running wild right here on Dynamite Download. We're giving it to you straight, and we're going to be covering nothing but positivity. Now, I know that the Hulkster is up in the sky, and he's taking those leg drops, and he's getting those elbow drops. But right now, here on the earth, is the Dynamite Download crew, SPD, and the Mind Runner Maniacs are running wild. And what you gonna do when Dynamite Download starts the show for you? Press the button. Showtime. Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling should feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
Super kick, hot tag!
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
Mariah May, boom.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
So that you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw Force.
Raw Force?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
With Frank match.
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
They spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
And we're back. Thank you, Hulkster.
You guys, this is episode 199. Next week is officially 200. Incredible stuff. You know, I'm sure it's been over 200, you know, because some of our special episodes don't always get officially counted, but officially episode 200 next week. And wow, next week's show, without, you know, jumping the gun, it is Hangman versus Mox rematch. So how fitting are we going to have episode 200, a monumental moment for Dynamite Download, as well as who knows what the heck is going to happen at that main event in Dynamite next week. But let's talk with the segment at hand. Last night's show, Dynamite is back in Chicago still for this week and next week. Outstanding. This pretty much sums up the show. I mean, right here, if you could add one photo to sum up the show, I mean, that is just wilding out. He is wilding out, Don Callis, for sure. You know, that side-by-side I sent you with Beaker. You know, he's a real-life action Beaker right there, if you guys are familiar with the Muppets. Yeah. But, you know, Callis is awesome. He's just as much – you got to have someone
I want to go to the Don Callis School of Rosetta Stone learn his Spanish.
Yo soy
hechicero,
right.
Wizard de Fieria. And so that whole Don Callis is so perfect as the villain, archetype villain manager. We're going to talk about how important the heel managers are tonight because of another exquisite heel manager we'll talk about. But yeah, right. Don Callis just so unserious, and you just and there's subtle things I've noticed. He continues to put everybody over except Takeshita, who, you know, of course, you know, he's at the G1 right now, but I think it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, just real quick before we get on, we are going to talk about MJF, and I those of you that had a chance to see Dave LaGreca interviewed MJF and the three other young kids that are playing Happy Gilmore's sons.
Yeah,
and the chemistry between the four of them is unreal from the standpoint of that I don't care how good or bad Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be. I'm a big fan of the first movie. I'm sure it's going to be funny, but MJF has such great chemistry with these other three kids. He's definitely their big brother. He was in full MJF mode, calling LaGreca an idiot and everything, but he's got such a great chemistry with them. We need to have a Gilmore Boys movie after this starring MJF, and I think it would be a hit.
That's a great idea. I mean, Happy Gilmore was one of my favorite movies growing up, because as a hockey player who likes to rough it up, and then, you know, it fits perfect in the comedy aspect. It was just, I think I have that movie memorized. I could probably quote it quote for quote, Happy Gilmore 1. So I am excited to see the next one. But last night's show, you know, this is the first time in a while we have not had an 8-person tag match. You know, we've had 4 singles matches and 1 tag team match. What in the world is going on? We're on a new shift. You know, kicking things off with Hangman, our champ. Great way to bookend the show is Hangman, our champ starting, Hangman, our champ ending with an absolute huge cliffhanger, which we talked about a little bit earlier. But this is all it needed to be. It needed to be a beatdown squash in a sense. I like that Yuta had the sneak attack to kick things off as well. So the question on my mind, though, is, which the commentator team is really planting those seeds, is like, Claudio didn't come out to save him. You know, they didn't save him. Is there going to be turmoil within the Death Riders? Are the Death Riders going to start to implode next week after the Moxley Hangman match? I don't know. I don't think they've run their course. I still think there's a lot of enemies and a lot to be said and a lot of, you know, direction to kind of attack AEW. You know, I won't spoil my kind of hot take, you know, segment talk a little bit later, but if the Death Riders start to implode per se, what, other than the Callis group, what heel faction can almost fill that void? And I might have a theory for that a little bit later. But what do you think? Hangman is getting involved, is still involved with the Death Riders and what we saw last night. How did you think this match kicked off Dynamite?
Well, I thought fantastic, and I love the before coming out, the interaction with MJF and Hangman. That's definitely the direction they're going. That's the next big match, and But like you said, they're not done. There's so much meat still in the bone with the Death Riders. I think that the Hangman winning the belt kind of redeemed the Death Riders too a little bit. It's going to be epic next week. The rematch, Hangman versus Moxley, but I think that's going to be not a watershed, but that's going to kind of be a catalyst for all the new storylines going through Forbidden Door all the way to All Out. I think that's when we're going to start to see who's going to step up. The Op's going to come back. Are we going to see some more of that? And then you're going to start to see Hangman and MJF be more of a feud with, of course, the other things that are going on with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, which we'll get into. I think
he's got Mystico drama, he's got Briscoe drama, he's got Hurt Syndicate drama, he's got Hangman drama. He is in the center of it all.
He is the drama queen. My better half, of course, you got to give it to Mox. Dude never quits or takes a vacation. And even when he tries to take a vacation,
I know,
pull
right?
him back in. The only time he had to go to rehab in order to take a vacation, a true one. So the Moxley, and you got to give it to Mox too. Like here it is, like Mox could have just tailed between his legs after Hangman won, but he's making himself still a compelling threat. And I thought the nuance here where Hangman was going to hang Wheeler Yuta, but he stopped. He said, "Look, no one's coming for you." And I thought that, like you said, that was very significant, and not just for Wheeler Yuta and his storyline, like how they see him, how low he is on the totem pole, and will that start to play back into when he was the most reluctant to go Death Riders from the Blackpool Combat Club, but it also says a lot about Hangman, like he's not that he's kind of gotten his soul back a little bit. He didn't just outright just hang him and not care. He actually talked to him like he sees some value in Wheeler Yuta. So he found his balls, as Full Tilt Deb just came in to announce. Yes. Thank you for that.
I'm really curious what that's going to go. And what I loved to fast forward to the end of the show, Hangman pretty much, you said it about Mox, giving him his flowers. And he called out, you can call a spade, regardless if he's held the title captive. But Mox has been the backbone, has been the MVP of AEW since very, very early on. And ever since he showed up in AEW, he has been that consistent workhorse guy who has really, like Hangman said, carried the company and has been an MVP. And it's crazy that we're having more Mox in AEW than he was in cross-brand WWE, and we're getting the best versions of him, the unleashed versions of him. Really cool. The match of the night for sure, hands down, was definitely. I tweeted this out on our channel that this is a tough one to top, and I am so thankful that I said this last week on after Collision 2. I was tweeting it that this could be the resurgence of the tag team division with that fatal 4-way tag team match. And I was like, yes, all right. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get that bracket announced for a title shot at Forbidden Door. So I am happy that this is the stepping stones of the resurgence of a tag team division that once upon a time was the best in the absolute world. Yeah. The talent is there, just the way it was booked and featured was hit or miss. Now we are starting to get FTR, best tag team in the world, debatably, versus Jet Speed to kick things off. And then ultimately, hopefully, getting that title shot to Hurt Syndicate, and because a lot's going to happen with that leading up to that drama, in my opinion. Someone said maybe have someone interfere or have Cope or someone try to cost somehow. I was like, if you're going to do that, you got to save that to the finals by any means. Yeah. But let's talk about this match at hand, man. Incredible stuff. So many false finishes, so many big moments, so much back and forth. And 2 commercial breaks, which was insane. This is what tag team wrestling is all about. This is what tag team wrestling is all about in AEW. And these 4 guys brought down the house last night with the match of the night easily. It was incredible to watch. So fun. Anyone could have taken this match for sure with the victory. And I was curious how it was going to end. But, man, was I entertained. And this set the tone for the remainder of the show for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll get into the aftermath of this whole thing, and kind of going back to one of the things we've noticed about the Dynamites is how a lot of the segments flow into each other. And I thought that was really cool. But the isolating this match too, I agree. Match of the night, I almost thought about doing FTR as my top performer, no spoilers, but this was incredible as it is, because you have four of the best, first of all, Speedball and Jets, Speedball and
Did mine freeze or did I freeze? Let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear Mind Runner, or is it frozen on my end? Let me check. I'll keep talking if Mind Runner is not on there, but this was by far definitely, as we said, the match of the night.
Yep. I'm back now, I think.
Okay.
I'm back.
Yep, you're back.
I don't know what just happened. Something just burped. We're messing around with the internet here or something. But I just want to say that my only concern is that, Jet Speed, losing, they got to get some wins here. I'm a little bit worried. Yeah, I had a little bit of brain freeze, I guess. But one of the things that Full Tilt Dev and I are talking about with FTR is how they're such a great base tag team. They can have an incredible match with anybody.
Right.
I do think it's working that they're heels, because that's allowing a lot of these babyface tag teams to shine. I do think that Jet Speed, they're young enough that they can continue to have success, but I'd like to see some W's in their pockets going forward. Right. But yeah, FTR, they're perfect heels. I think we kind of know where some of the storyline is going to be going. It's some of our theories, I think, are starting to get some traction with some evidence that we're seeing. But I said this earlier about Don Callis. I didn't think I would like Stokely with FTR, but he has made them 10 times better as heels. Like, in fact, it was almost like I wasn't completely convinced FTR had turned heel until Stokely joined them. And now Stokely just adds the asshole factor. I mean, Dax and Cash are doing great without him, but Stokely just is he's that heel. He's like that. He's kind of that Bobby Heenan kind of heel wrestler. And the way that this match ended with Stokely in the crutch, I mean, if you're going to have an interference, if you're going to have a interference, shenanigan finish, you got to be unique. And, instead of just a run in or whatever, or hit with the belt, that's like a typical trope.
Low blow,
all of those things are so done. They're so cliche. But for Stoke to use the crutch, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Yeah, and then the aftermath of this match, on this day, I see clearly. Cope coming back out. Thankfully, I think you got to keep pushing pressure onto this feud, and this, even though he has got to be hands off, I did not see this coming at all. And so Cope hired the Hurt Syndicate to attack FTR, and Stokely still got away, with his tail tucked running away. Cope just missed that spear once again. It would have been great if he did spear him, and the next week he comes out with a neck brace and 2 crutches, and then he's in a wheelchair. Yeah. Like, progressively, week by week, he's getting more and more and more. He's in a neck traction.
I got a week to live.
All this stuff. But I did not see that coming. And we talked about, in you fantasy book, the potential of a TLC match of, Christian and Cope, FTR, and Hurt Syndicate for a 3-way. I mean, that could potentially still happen down the line. Yeah. I mean, down the line here. I mean, if the FTR does win the tournament, we don't know who else is in the tournament. I'm assuming Gates of Agony, Outrunners. Maybe we have Outrunners FTR finals again, or even though they kind of closed the chapter on that. We'll see with that. Who else is going to be in that tournament? But man, Hurt Syndicate and FTR, that is the money feud right there. We got a little taste of it last night, a little taste. But it was a Hurt Syndicate. As much as they're trying to be heels, they still, I mean, we saw it at All In. Everywhere we go, we'd be chanting, "We hurt people, we hurt people." We see them walk by, "We hurt people," and so like all these things, like you know, they're tweeners ever since MJF joined them, which was mid-May. I had to go back and see when they joined them because I was curious on that, what we saw after this. So how did you react when you saw Hurt Syndicate coming out?
I thought this was brilliant. I thought this was such a brilliant thing. My first reaction is, okay, is the Hurt Syndicate the new APA? Like you remember in WWE?
Oh yeah.
But no, this is, I mean, and essentially that, but this is, I was on the moon with this for so many reasons, but part of it is we're getting Cope involved. Cope is involved with tag teams. He got them in. This is setting the tone for that trip, that TLC, Hurt Syndicate, FTR, Cope and Christian. I think that's what this is alluding to or evolving to eventually. I thought it was brilliant when he said, I mean, and to me, this was the first time, and I think Simon Miller made this point on his ups and downs, but he put it into words the way I was feeling. This is the first time that as soon as you heard the Hurt Syndicate music, you knew an ass whooping was coming. Because up until this point, it was just kind of like, oh, it's the Hurt Syndicate. But when Cope said, I made a business deal, and then you hear dang,
I know,
dang,
right?
And you just knew, oh, this is they're gonna kick FTR's ass.
We hurt people. We hurt people.
Fantastic. So I think this is definitely leading to that kind of scenario. Obviously, it also led to some stuff we'll talk about in a little bit later. But I do want to talk about the tournament. I want to talk about the tournament brackets here because, and I suspect that the brackets would have been released had certain things not happened. And we just want to take a quick moment. And we want to wish Colton speedy recovery. It does sound like with his leg, the guns are out of the tournament, which is interesting because they could have brought somebody else in, but we do want to wish Colton the best, and we hope we're thoughts and prayers. Because I hate that it feels like the Bang Bang Gang is like snake bit or something, and they just can't. I don't know what it is. It's like they just can't get their they just can't catch a break. Just when they're getting close to something, one of them gets injured. I don't know if they're going to have cardboard Colton, but
that'd be funny.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, once they all come back. Oh,
hey.
Speaking of the Bullet Club Gold, Rock Hard, how you doing?
Hey, SPD. Yeah, sorry to interrupt Mind Runner there, but it just seems like he was, he makes a good point, and that's why I think we need to, change things up a bit. I'm kind of back, and I was really grateful that everybody was glad to see me, and I think the Gun Club and Juice Rock Hard, we need to reevaluate what we're doing, and because we need to focus on gold and such.
Yeah. Have you been drinking milk? Looks like you got a milk mustache.
No, I still doing the protein powder donuts there, but
okay, protein powder donuts.
But,
yeah. You got a little bit on your lip right there.
I do. I know it's a little bit there. I don't know. But I had to go the clean shaven version of me. It is kind of a personification of the new me. I've had a lot of time to think, and I just, pretending to pee on people like a dog, and people calling me the Geico caveman and whatnot. I just, I'm much more than that. I'm a sensitive guy, and I'm much more, and all the matches I had in New Japan, and I don't want to be known as a clown. I want to be known as Rock Hard, and excuse me. I want to be.
Well,
known
now
as,
you can research it. You can resurface that Venus Razor sponsorship that AEW had. So since you're going to be clean shaven so much.
Yeah, I do. I think I should look into that. Tony keeps herself nice and clean. She likes to be nice and smooth like a baby's bottom kind of thing. But I don't know if that's her terms, not mine. But Yeah, so you're going to be seeing a much more subdued Juice Robinson as soon as I can get myself some gold, and and I do hope that Colton and Austin can understand that, and when we get Switchblade, but I'm still gonna be rock hard, and I definitely am going to not be the wild man that you think I'm going to be, SPD. It's not going to happen. You see, I mean, I'm going to be much more reserved, so yeah, you won't be seeing that character anymore.
Man, well, it's good to see you back, rock hard, but hopefully we see that other little wild side of you, because I do miss that wild side of you.
That's not happening. It's not going to happen. I've stopped being that character. I pretending to pee on people like a dog and scratching my fleas. I'm not going to be that character anymore. SPD.
Whoa, calm down, Rockhard. Maybe you need to take a 10. Go take a walk and then bring Mindrunner back in here. It's good seeing you.
Big Bill, that punk, that long-haired hippie freak. I'm gonna go have a talk with him. Yeah, that's it. Talk.
Calm down,
all
please.
Right.
Not to 10. Count to 10.
I will. I'm gonna go have another protein-powered donut. I'll let Mindrunner get back to all this thing. But stay. Hey guys, stay rock hard. Stay rock hard for me.
All right. A special appearance, hell of a guest appearance by the one and only Juice, as Ranger Man is saying on Instagram. But yeah, if you could quickly, there's 6 more teams at this. If you can name a couple that you want to see.
Oh, the Outrunners. The Outrunners have got to be in this.
Youngest Men Alive.
Youngest Men Alive. They were they were along with Hulk Hogan. They were my childhood heroes. I had their action figures. I had the Happy Meal. They were the best. I would like to. I'd love to see a return of Private Party if they're available. That would be kind of an interesting thing, depending on their situation. Of course, we're going to see the Crew. They'll probably be on one of the more Collision. They'll probably be on the Collision quarterfinals. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where Tony's kind of keeping things close to the chest. We'll see the Crew possibly. We'll see Top Flight, and perhaps we'll see with Scorpio Sky in their corner. I would like to see. Gates of Agony.
Yeah,
Gates of Agony are definitely going to be in this tournament. I think it would be, and I wasn't 100% sure that, but was it implied that Nick Wayne and Kip were going to try for the tag team titles? They might show up. But of all the teams that I think need a chance to get in there, I actually think Vanilla Baby, Blake Christian, and Shoddy Lee Johnson, they likely won't make it far, but I think they should be a team that should at least get some time. And I don't know if
I would love to see on the right side of the bracket meeting FTR in the finals. Super Kick Party!
Oh, of course. Yes. The former
Give
EVPs.
me the Young Bucks FTR rematch resurgence. This will be the gateway path to Young Bucks turning babyface, leading into the Forbidden Door. I would absolutely love that. Come on, please go big. Yeah. Don't put in these teams that are just makeshift teams. Put in OG tag teams, Young Bucks on the right side of there to get to that finals versus FTR, because that will steal the show. Whew. Please and thank you.
Well, because it's Forbidden Door, will there be some do you think there'll be some like New Japan or CMLL teams in this tournament?
Possibly. Definitely possibly.
Let's we got ourselves a Super Kick Party. Let's get right to it.
Super Chat Party!
And in addition to that, let's give ourselves in honor of Juice's return. Let's give
Thank you, Brian.
let's give us an additional super chat, bang bang gang stuff.
Yes.
So awesome.
Heck yeah. Love it. Grizzled Young Vets. Okay, yeah. We saw them rocking around All In. That would be great to have a little bit of resurgence there. Well, let's keep this moving. This is definitely some good topics of discussion for that tournament. A lot to be said there. And I love a good tournament wrestling, and I hope they go big with some of the big name teams such as Young Bucks, baby.
Yes. Really quick shout out to Willow. She definitely sounds like she's pivoting away a little bit from Marina Shafir, but I'd like to see where she's heading. We got to see the Sisters of Sin promo, so I'm wondering if Willow's going to be involved, and I'd like to see more with her and Stat. But let's talk about this announcement.
Oh, it's rough, man. It's rough with my being my number one overall pick on Team Dynamite Download because he very consistently gets me points. That being selfishly said, it is better than I expected. You saw his sad face not coming out, bouncing the ropes, doing Osprey. Something bad was going to happen. But, with the announcement of some time off, some R&R, some treatments, and his goal for Forbidden Door, which as of today is 1 month away, that's quick.
That is
from herniated disc and things like that. I mean, that is I've never had one, thankfully, that I know of, but a month healing with some kind of special treatment. I don't know if he's going to do some stem cell stuff because I know Brian Cage has done stem cell stuff, I believe, on his knees and things like that, and it's worked great. Forbidden Door is August 24th. I believe that is the date. August 24th, Sunday, August 24th. Yeah, one of those. And I'm bummed, but it was for the greater good, as he said.
The greater good.
He was like, everything was worth it for Hangman, for Swerve, for everyone. So it was a great babyface promo. Sad result, but it's not as bad as I expected.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he kind of was being a little cheeky bastard when he said he didn't tell anybody about it. But
wouldn't you do the same thing?
Yeah, he wanted to finish the story, and I think that just shows his love for the sport. And I think he knew he was going to be okay. I think he's going to be fine. It's probably not as serious as it sounds.
Well, if he did what he did at All In,
what's that?
If he was doing what he was doing, cheers to
yes,
Hulkster, the Hulkamania. This one, I'm wearing my red, white, and blue because he's real American Hulkster. What he was doing at All In, obviously, I'm sure he was maybe painkillered potentially, or just fighting through it because he's a tough warrior. Like all wrestlers are.
He might have actually been using some herbal medicine too.
You never know. I mean, sometimes that's better than certain things. I forget. Was it Kurt Angle saying he used to take handfuls of pills? Kurt Angle would do that with his broken neck and the pain. But Osprey told me, he's like, you should be a wrestler, bruv. I'm like, no, I can't do what you do. And that's exactly why I would never want to be a wrestler, because I like to walk and I don't like to be in pain.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, he wasn't about to miss All In. That's right, Brian. So, this is a great moment. I'm almost like, I don't want any more of these like feel good moments, because we got it with like Adam Cole, who knows what's going to happen, Osprey, who knows what's going to happen. Obviously, what happened today with the Hulkster, like all these things. It's like, oh man, it's just like a trickle effect of certain things that's going on. But I want to talk about, if we could shift to the MJF saga, and let's talk about Tony Storm. Let's kick that off, then we'll go to MJF. Okay. Whatever you want. Yeah.
I do want to talk about Tony Storm and
of course
Athena, because it's interesting because that Mercedes' absence is noticeable. I think, even though I'm not complaining, because this pair up, this feud with Tony Storm Athena it's feeding what the fans want. Athena has been the top dog of ROH for so long, not getting the visibility that she has had over there, basically carrying it ROH, not slamming the other folks there, but she has been the star. And now she's getting to show what she was able to do there, bringing, of course, Billy Starks. Hey, look at the ball of fur. Is that for Full Tilt? Hey, Full Tilt Deb, make sure you check this out. Yes.
Instead of doing Rock Hard, I'm doing the Rosie.
The Rosie Hard. This is the cuteness overload. This should be Rosie and Finn should have their own super chat, super Paw party, or something like that. But just to kind of talk about this, what I like about the dynamic here is they've always teased a little bit that someday Billy Starks is going to turn on Athena and try to usurp her.
How much more can you take being called minion and kind of be pushed around?
Exactly. And I think there was a time where she did kind of turn on Athena in Ring of Honor, but then came back with her. And I think they're going to replay that storyline down the line, but right now she's still the minion. There was a moment where she kind of looked at the women's title, though, and there was a brief second where she kind of went, this would look good on me, until Athena was barking orders at her. So there is that. This wasn't the best match of the night, but it's got three of my favorite wrestlers involved in it. Athena's such a great heel on the mic, but she's a likable heel, and Toni Storm is just fantastic. I do think this is a compelling storyline. I don't think that Tony's going to lose this one, but this is a good segue, and it's finally giving Athena some more badly needed AEW time. And I think I'd like to see her eventually drop the Ring of Honor belt, maybe to Thunder Rosa, maybe to Mina, maybe somebody, and become more of an AEW player down the line.
Yeah, I think she's definitely going to hit that 3 or 1,000 mark with the ROH thing, ROH title. Yes. I am very curious about, big picture wise. I would love for Athena to turn on Billy because I'm afraid, in a good way, like Athena is getting the cheers and the pops for a babyface. We heard it a lot in Texas. Granted, she's from Texas.
Yeah.
So she needs to do something like hideous or bad to really get some heat. So turning on Billy and maybe recruiting someone that's better, or that's better in her eyes per se, and creating a Billy Starks babyface. I think that's would be very compelling.
Yeah.
I think maybe Athena creating a group. We're seeing a trios group of the Sin Sisters, SOS, Sisters of Sin. So if Athena created a trios group as well, and they can maybe go head to head, anything like that down the line. But yeah, the match itself was fine. Like Billy's match versus Mercedes was, I think, 10 times better. I think that match put her on the map. This one was fine. It played its role, and this shot is an incredible shot with the balcony. Yeah. They're really utilizing that great. So I think somehow someone is going to cost Athena the cash in, which I'm fine for. And I think we've spoken about this before, but I think in a perfect world, it would be great for Athena to be TBS and Tony be world champ. And so if Mercedes costs her the cash in and then feuds with Mercedes and Athena again, run that back, that would be a money feud in my opinion. So Alex Windsor making her mark right there. You think she could beat Athena that quick? Like, I know they've had history. That would be very interesting and compelling, and you can really start that turn or segue, as you said. So I don't know, man. I think they're going to hit that 1,000 day mark because that's such a huge monumental thing, and then it's exactly on Death Before Dishonor. I think the 1,000th day. So
if I can just say this, like when Alex Windsor came out, I think she's great. I liked when she came out in her gear, but she's really given some Lita vibes here with her drip right on in this. I see
Lita. She looks like could be Lita's sister right there.
Exactly. I almost think she needs to steer into that a bit. Maybe drop the pants down and do the thong thing. I don't know if she wants to do that, But more so, like, forget about that. But do that kind of gear. It makes you stand out a little bit more. I thought this was compelling. I guess that there is a bit of a desire for Alex Windsor to kind of be that run-in hero, and I could see that developing. That she is somebody they could really carry as a star, and her being a UK talent that continues that forbidden door. Bringing people in from all over. You're going to have New Japan and CMLL. We need some UK talent, and we need some, Canadians, eh? What are we doing Forbidden Door without some Canadians a boot? And I think we need to get that in there. So, definitely Alex Windsor. I think it's possible. I don't think she's going to do it now on Collision, but I could see Alex being built up as a future champion. Absolutely. But this is what we wanted to get to.
Yeah, I did not expect this, and I loved it. I was like, Crayfish and I were texting about this, and I was like, "Are you watching this? This is what's happening." Like, already you're getting a little turmoil with MJF. You knew this was coming, and I almost feel like this is where I want to throw it out to discussion topic, and it almost can be a little hot take style. But there's two directions. Here at Dynamite Download, we want more than anything for Wardlow to return. And there's so many scenarios that he could return, but we want such a huge impact. Impact one would be to join the Hurt Syndicate, looks great in suits, hurts people, is a beast, an American Gladiator, and would just run, beast mode, fit perfect with that crew, and then kick out MJF and feud with MJF and whomever else, and just be a wrecking ball. Maybe potentially trios, champs, those three guys, or Wardlow could be someone else as well. The option two is, which got me a little head scratching, because Wardlow posted a picture on his story today that said Pinnacle, and what we saw with everything last night with Hurt Syndicate going, whooping FTR, MJF getting thrown against the locker, choked by Bob. And so I feel like Bob is just going to give him the Powerbomb Symphony, which I miss the Powerbomb Symphony so much. Man, I can't wait for Wardlow to return to give us the Powerbomb Symphony. But I want Wardlow to return as a babyface, because I think the whole Goldberg style, Wardlow style stuff works so well. So I feel like you have him walk into the ring and Hurt Syndicate flanking him to the ring and just doing those squash matches, the Powerbomb Symphony, and seeing MVP going, another one, MVP, another one, MVP with his cane, another one. And so him with the Hurt Syndicate is my number one choice with that. Now, that being said, the quote-unquote Pinnacle, could it reunite? Yes. Could MJF help FTR beat Hurt Syndicate and Pinnacle reunion, Steven? That is 100% a way to go. And then you could have Wardlow join the Hurt Syndicate. How do you feel about those two scenarios, and what would you selfishly want?
Wardlow is not going to help MJF do. He wouldn't feed him a cookie. He wouldn't give him water in the desert. No. This is what's going to happen. And just this next. By the way, I gotta love Renee's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Look at that picture right here. This tells you everything you need to know about where they're going. Yes, Pinnacle reunion, but not with Wardlow. And you could argue technically Wardlow was more of an indentured servant of the Pinnacle rather than an actual member, because of the way that MJF treated him. Oh, remember, you owe me money. I got your family, whatever. Right. But I think what's going to happen is this going to build up to MJF and FTR starting to reform the Pinnacle. It's going to be a 3-on-3, and you got Bobby and Shelton and a mystery third member, and it's going to be Wardlow. Now, a couple ways they could do that is have it a surprise when he shows up, and then
it has to be.
Have MJF just have to hope he wears the brown trunks when this happens. Or I think what should happen, the other thing I think that should happen is MJF talking smack, thinks he's got Wardlow with him. Wardlow comes walking in, and it looks like he's joining the Pinnacle, and then he just turns around and Bobby and Shelton stand behind him, like shoulder to shoulder, like Wardlow comes up and gets in Bobby's face, and they face each other, and then they smile and they shake hands, and then Wardlow just turns around and faces MJF with Shelton and Bobby standing next to him, and then you're like, oh, and then I think that's what they could do. I'd love to see Keith Lee back, but I think I don't know, man, dude. I think the dude's still struggling. We'll see.
This is new. I accidentally clicked this. I don't know if you saw like the comments going on the screen at the same time.
Is that a new thing? They got all kinds of show comments on stage. Yeah, that's a new. They keep coming up with new features all the time. They got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, we've consistently talked about the return of Wardlow and just like salivating over certain ones, and there's no better fitting that I see. Granted, we've all been swerved or wrong before. The fitting of with the Hurt Syndicate and or the Pinnacle. Selfishly, I would not want him to rejoin the Pinnacle because of everything he had to go through, those 10 lashes and all the stuff he had to do to break free from MJF. Why would he ever want to realign with him?
Not gonna happen.
Absolutely not. Hechicero, which quickly
Yo soy Hechicero.
Exactly. His theme song has become one of my favorites. And it's like a banger. It's like some underground goth club just rocking out, just like so I like it. And commentator team, props to them during this match, giving Hechicero his flowers consistently over and over and over again. I like the addition to the Callis family, not only aesthetically, but in the ring, and he's a beast. And so
I'm glad it's not a one-off either. That it wasn't just a one-off in joining. He's officially Callis family.
I was afraid that was going to be the case, but I'm glad it's not, because so often he has done that. But the match, a good back and forth, a lot of technical stuff back and forth, and the commentator team really kept this alive. But post match, wow, we're getting it. We are getting it sooner than later. Okada versus Swerve. That is one of the biggest marquee matches that AEW can have as of right now. Wow, it is going to cook. That is for sure. I think this is going to be stacking up against Swerve, who is just absolutely incredible, is going to push Okada to his limit. And I think Okada is going to have, I'm predicting his best match in AEW versus Swerve.
Yep. I think you're right. I think that Swerve is that dance partner that can really bring the best out of Okada. I think, Okada, he's been challenged, especially by guys like was a Speedball and Kevin Knight. His match with Kevin Knight was great because that was the battle of the drop kicks. And I think with Swerve is one of those ring generals that could really come up with some creative moments with Okada. I think Okada will respond in kind, and I think this could be a really decent feud. I don't think Swerve's going to come out victorious for the championship here, because I think the eventual plan is going to be Takeshita versus Okada, but we got to wait through the G1 climax, and this gives Swerve something to do while Ospreay gets healed up, and then we'll start to see maybe the Ospreay Swerve tag team kind of go through the ranks as well. But also shout out to Bandito, even though his tea had gone cold, he came out, and also Brody King came out to neutralize the Callis family, so they got that going for us, which is nice. All kinds of angles going on. I think this is great. I enjoyed the aftermath as much as the match. Hechicero really impresses me too. I really think he's another one of those surprising talents that I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I do.
Exactly.
And I think we're going to see Bandito and Hechicero for the Ring of Honor Championship at Forbidden Door or Supercard, whatever it's coming up.
Forbidden Door's first.
Yeah,
I believe. I forget. It's in August.
Something like that.
Either way, soon enough.
Yes. Let's talk about the main event. First of all, Claudio's final boss entrance was so sick. I love that they're making use so much of this unique area. I know that everybody was talking about in the chat, this Casa Bonita style arena, and they're finding new and unique ways, almost like how Pac would just stare at the camera through the thing. This was such a great entrance. Here it's like final boss.
Incredible.
It's like you reach that level in the Final Fantasy game, and he comes out. I thought this was fantastic. Also, of course, you got Mark Briscoe after he had a nice interaction with MJF and his small pickle. What a great match. I think Mark needed this win. Claudio can eat
100%.
losses and still be a menacing guy because, aside from the Death Riders thing, but just his own thing. And then, of course, Sting's son doing what he does best in showing up in the crowd and being that.
I love that they keep planting that seed.
Yes, I love that stuff. Yep. Yeah. Briscoe needed that after the MJF promo. Absolutely. I think the Forbidden Door Swerve versus the Bitch Maker. Yes. The Bitch
You
Maker.
have to build up Briscoe as much as possible leading into his rematch or match with MJF. And so they're doing a great job with that. And I think this was such a great match. A lot of, and Briscoe, got to give it to him, man. He does a lot of exterior ring work on the hard mat. And that is grueling to say the least.
Grueling is the word of the day, SBD.
Thank you, Steven. August 29th is Death Before Dishonor, and August 24th is Forbidden Door. So Forbidden Door is first. And I think you need them a marquee match. So about a month build to there you go. About a month build to the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So I think you can continue that build for the Hechicero match. I think you could save it for that for sure.
Absolutely. And then for a positive of Wheeler Yuta's ass beaten earlier is that he had to wear a bandage that kept the hair out of his face. But, we had ourselves some Death Rider action at the end. And old Hanger coming down. And look what we're getting next Dynamite.
This was not on my bingo card what I expected out of this. No. So I know this is going to be, this has to be, as we've spoken, another just notch in Hangman's title run. But I am curious of how this is going to go. First off, love the graphic, love the names on the side, the darker graphic, because you know how serious and how deep of this. Yeah, this is just incredible graphic. Love it, love it, love it. But I'm very curious of how this is going to go. Is this going to be start the imploding of the Death Riders, or is this going to where do you? I don't know. Where do you see it going, other than a Hangman victory?
I think this is going to be, because you had the Texas Death Match, and of course Mox tapped out. This is going, with everybody banned at ringside, I think what's going to happen is this is actually going to be, Hanger is going to pin Moxley clean in the ring.
It has to be.
I think this is going to be that final feather in the cap. Because Mox has lost, but he's rarely been pinned. He has lost in matches, like singles matches, but it's usually a tap out or a pass out. I think this is going to be, I think seeing Mox visibly pinned in the ring by Hangman, and then that after that, Hanger's going to move on to MJF. But I think
could you see Moxley giving him the approval, like, okay, you did it. You proved to me.
Yeah, almost a little bit of a okay. All right. Almost
it doesn't have to necessarily be a handshake where he's being the good guy, but almost like just a nod of approval. Like, okay, you did it.
I almost think that Hangman is what Mox was trying to accomplish with this whole Death Riders thing. If you remember the first promo when he told Tony Schiavone, he said, this is not this is not your wrestling company like you anymore, or something like. And he was kind of talking like, people need to really step up and want to be here. I think there was a little bit of a shoot in there too, but I think this is what Moxley was trying to create, and it's one of those sinister villain that feels that their work is necessary, that the villain's sacrifice for the greater good is that he became the villain so that Hangman could rise up against him and be the hero he needs to be. Kind of like Bane without the mask.
Right.
You got nobody feared the Death Riders until I put the title in the briefcase. So,
right.
Like that whole thing. So I'm thinking that's I think that's kind of the thing. MJF cashing in the contract. I don't know.
I just wrote that in the chat. I was like, I hope he doesn't, because I really want this to be focused on the two of these guys and the passing of the torch. I think it would be best for Biz, best for us fans to really get that moment where it's like, okay, Hangman doesn't need the bed of nails. He doesn't need the chain. He doesn't need that. He's like, he is becoming the guy that Moxley was hoping someone would be to take the company to the next level.
Plus,
and I think this is the opportunity to do that.
And we know where Moxley's going after this. It's going to be Moxley versus Darby. Darby's going to be going after the whole Death Rider syndicate. We've already planted, is Wheeler going to start to second guess his role? There's a lot of stuff going on, and I hope they don't drop the Statlander thing. I really would like to see Statlander be like tempted, but then finally come to her senses, and then have Marina Shafir and some other badass chick, and then have them feud with Willow and Stat, whatever. But it's Hangman's gonna win, and then you're gonna this match is going to be that watershed match where all the future storylines are going to spawn from there. That's gonna be Hanger's gonna go and deal with Darby, or not Hanger. Mox is gonna deal with Darby. Hanger's gonna deal with MJF, and everything's gonna go from there.
That's what's fun about as you're saying things is the spider web of things that are possibilities. Like, I don't want this to be the end of the Death Riders, because I think maybe contrary to some other people, I think they have been one of the best things in AEW, because you need that menace, that opportunity to leave pissed off at the end of the show, because you're coming back for more, because and we got the ultimate payoff. Well, interest of time, let's see the where we're at with our standings.
Yes, and we got to play it.
Oh, and top of all right. Well, yes, let's play it. That is a hot guitar solo. Whoa.
Absolutely.
What do we got over here? A couple of haters? We got ourselves a cup of haters.
Haters. There's haterades. What? I don't know. I'd like the tied for first place Ranger Man and Steven the Brain. He is the data machine. He's got all the insights in wrestling. So you got these two duking it out the top. Two of the most shrewd, I would say, two of our best bookers. Ranger's technically a rookie with us because it's his first season. He's just clobbering everything. But Steven really, Steven almost won last year. And look at this, the two of them duking it out. SBD only 2 points behind. I'm still kind of trying to 5 points behind. Bobby nipping at my heels. I love that it goes mine from myself all the way down. It goes 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 9, and 5. And again, Full Tilt Deb, she's got the Gun Club. She's got Juice. Hopefully Colton comes back, but with Juice coming back, we'll see what happens there. Right. And we had our plus threes. We have Masca Dorada out there. A lot of new stuff. We'll see what happens. This is only the result of one Dynamite, which there really was only like 5 matches, but
there was only 6 possible points last night.
Yeah.
But, where there was the week of All In was, I think, 44 possible points. which was from Dynamite Collision to All In 44 possible points. So that's quite the difference. So we're going to be plucking one at a time the last few times.
Breaking news. We have finally figured it out. Steven's real identity is Tony Khan. Stephen Khan. He's Tony's cousin. So there we go.
Top performers of the night as we're wrapping up for our show, episode 199. Reminder, next week, 200. FTR match of the night, hands down, guys, top guys for a reason. Stokely, when you sent me this, I'm wondering, man, real quick, why did you pick Stokely?
I picked Stokely. I was going to go FTR.
A non-wrestler. This might be the first non-wrestler. Not to interrupt,
Stokely because Stokely was instrumental in not just the ending of the match, but Stokely has been from start to finish. He has elevated FTR's heel status and continues to be that third intangible that the future teams are going to have to deal with. In this storyline, as FTR advances, they could easily just advance on their own recognizance, but Jet Speed would have won. I think Jet Speed could have won if it wasn't for Stokely, but Stokely's going to be that little piece, and just Stokely being this is the importance of a heel manager in the storylines. That's one of the most forgotten roles. And I think sometimes there's wrestlers out there that need someone like a Stokely to kind of enhance their whole storyline in character. There's a lot of, and it's not just reserved for wrestlers that struggle with promos. You look at pairing up Marina Shafir. When they paired her up with Nyla, that could have worked. But pairing Marina Shafir with Moxley was perfect. But you give these managers add a new nuance to the storytelling that I think is vital. And Stokely is such a great little weasel heel. And I say weasel in the same genre as Bobby the Brain Heenan, also known as the Weasel. And I think that he's kind of, the whole movement with him and the crutch. I feel like that enhances FTR. Granted, yes, FTR, they were fantastic as well, but without Stokely, they would have gotten the L. And I think that's why I had to go. I felt like we needed to acknowledge Stokely for his role in this whole dynamic. Yeah, look at Callis. Yeah.
Yeah, Callis could be a thing. So this is good. Speaking of TK right here, heads up, Collision is going to be on Thursday twice from now until Forbidden Door. So back and forth. So we might be, live after. Well, we will be live after Collision moving forward. Some of those nights. But you guys, thank you for joining us. Outstanding show, episode 199. And next week, join us for episode 200. We will have another edition of Collision Control Center. We will air that on Sunday, so tune for that, and we'll update on our Collision Control Center, the most recent rankings on after Collision. We only got 2 matches announced right now, but so we could have see a new leaderboard moving forward. But thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week. Love having you in the chat, and RIP Hulkster.
Yes.
What you gonna